been a great run here on the Splash Play NBA channel, and now we have a brand new week to look forward to. We'll do the same thing we always do on Mondays to Fridays at 4 p.m. We're going to look at my projections along with Stokastic's projections, the ownership as well, try to get a read on where the plays are going to go. We're also going to do some sims for the actual DFS slate on DraftKings, some prop bet sims as well with our friends at Unabated, who I should have the sticker up promoting them, $30 off at Unabated with the promo code SPLASH. But let's get into it. The key things to know right now. Let me go to my rank sheet here. Miles Turner being questionable is quietly one of the most important things on the slate, which is always odd. I've been writing up these articles for Unabated's conditional NBA projections for DraftKings Network 2 times a week, basically. And I have to come up, midday with this player is going to be the most important one. And then there's conditional NBA projections that Unabated has if the player's in or out. So I have to write it all up. It's weird to write these things up like Miles Turner, the most important player on the NBA slate. But legit for DraftKings today, it is a very important play. If he is out, it's going to open up a ton of stuff. If he's in, he's a quality value play as well. So lots of interesting wrinkles on this slate here, but let's look at the overall numbers here. And shout out to the chat. Appreciate this one. Late AF. You are or I am? I just started here, so I think you're good to go. We got Giannis. $12,000 salary today on DraftKings, 60.6 projection. Looks pretty good, but that price tag is not the easiest to get to on the slate. A lot of guys in the 8K range who look pretty good. So Giannis, top objective player, hard to get to here, where there's really nobody else, even 10K-ish you want to go to. Highest price guy you probably want to get to is Devin Booker on the slate, and he's at 9,500. So Booker, of course, today, no Kevin Durant again, no Bradley Beal again, no Yusuf Nurkic as well as the latest update here that came through, which I already have accounted for in the projections. So Giannis, your top player here, really not a big Giannis slate. If you can find a way to get there, though, more power to you. De'Aaron Fox, not on the main slate on DraftKings, but you have to highlight him here. Really high projection for him. Been obviously going nuts the last few games. Some of the Kings injuries going on. Basically, just a lot of high usage guys out. When you have Sabonis out, when you have DeMar DeRozan out, you still have Malik Monk out. A lot of usage go around for the Kings, and the Kings play at a fast pace. And they're still a pretty good team. So as a result, De'Aaron Fox has been going off. I would have him going off again in this spot. So De'Aaron Fox, 55 fantasy points, DK points that would be, but still a very good play, obviously, on your FanDuels and Underdog. Karl-Anthony Towns, he was questionable heading into today. He will play, as the report that came out midday. So I have him at a 53.6 projection, higher than Stokastic at 50.9. I have him as a 6X value, 41% ownership. Despite that, I'm still getting him 61% of the time in my sim. So Karl-Anthony Towns is one of the best plays on the slate. Other guys here to highlight up top. Cade Cunningham, I've got him a little bit lower projected than Stokastic does. They had him in the mid-50s for most of the day. I'm getting him less in the field, but he will project for 36% ownership today. Franz Wagner, he's on the thumbnail right now. If you don't recognize the white face alongside my also white face on the NBA video, we got Franz Wagner here as a guy who's been playing pretty well. Usage rate's been up a good amounts. Paulo Banchero's gone out. Basically, no Wendell Carter, no Banchero. Franz Wagner looks good, but the price tag's come up enough now at 9,100 that kind of pricing some of the ceiling out for him. Besides that, Harden on the FanDuel slate. Devin Booker doesn't look fantastic despite having again, all the key guys for the Suns out. I would have thought Booker would have looked a little bit better. But if you give Tyus Jones the rates he's had historically, Booker doesn't quite pop as much. Şengün looks pretty good to me, getting him almost 3X the field. RJ Barrett, I've been chasing him every day when you don't have Quickly, you don't have Barnes out there. Same thing for Jakob Poeltl. And Steph Curry, questionable, but should be going today. He's not on the DK slate, but he is on the FanDuel slate coming up later. Let's go game by game here and go through. Of course, I'd like to give the full overview on the top guys. We'll learn a lot more as we go. Some key value plays as well. You guys, if you're tuning in for the first time or after the fact, or I guess, watching after it's live rather, hit the like button, subscribe, do all that. A brand new channel here. We're so close to our first 200 subs after starting 3 weeks ago. Let's get to that 200. Then we'll get to the 500. We'll get to the 1,000. Brick by brick, here's what we're trying to do. Shout out Steven being here. Appreciate you guys watching the chat. And if you're not chatting as well, appreciate you tuning in. Chicago, 115 implied points here. Detroit, 119 on their side. The key players in this game, Zach LaVine, his price tags come up a little bit more. Still the best projected bull. As you can see here, the usage rate starting to solidify for him a little bit. 24%, 24.1%. If you want to be accurate to the decimal point. Nobody above 25% usage for the Bulls, so really not anybody you're trying to force your way to. But relative to the price tags and the projection, Zach LaVine looks pretty good. He's got 18% ownership expected to go his way today by Stokastic. I have him about 13% in the sim I ran before the show. Nikola Vucevic, 9% ownership for him. I didn't get him very much. If you're looking at the historical rates for Vucevic, his projection should be a little bit higher. So I mentioned enough times on here. What I do is account for the current year's rate, unless it's weird situations like Tyus Jones, who basically in Phoenix is like a fractional amount of the player he was previously in Washington, in Memphis too. Everywhere Tyus Jones has been, he hasn't been that good, or he's been a lot better than he's been so far in Phoenix this year. Kind of have to balance that out a little bit. For a guy like Vucevic, though, the reason why his rates are down, it makes sense because you have Kobe White trying to get his shot. LaVine trying to get his shot. You have Giddey playing point guard there. You have DeSunmu still playing some amount of point guard as well whenever he's on the court. So as a result, to me, I have lower projections for Vucevic, lower projections for Kobe White, but it does seem like these guys are Stokastic, not high-owned plays, but 5 to 10% plays. I didn't quite get there. Josh Giddey, to me, looks okay to be with the field on. I've got 7.3% compared to 7. Patrick Williams, a little bit lower on. I feel like the big tournament winning day for he had last week, not one I'm trying to chase. Should be a good game overall. Detroit, not great defensively. Bit of a pace down for Chicago. Detroit side, though, gets the big pace up. So you see a pretty big pace differential here, about 4.5 possessions worth. Is what you're expecting to see more today for Detroit. That said, I'm not as big on Cade Cunningham. He's projected for 36% ownership. I'm getting 19. Jaden Ivey, 29% ownership. I'm getting 17. And that's a little bit odd to me, too, because I've definitely been over-projecting Jaden Ivey on most slates. But today, with Tim Hardaway coming back in, Beasley's been good. You got a lot of guys kind of rotating back in. Even DiFontecchio coming back in kind of matters a little bit. Fontecchio. I don't know why I said DiFontecchio. This kind of all matters to the equation here. The rotation's a little bit more crowded than it should be. As a result, I think I'm lower on these guys than Stokastic is, and frankly, I'm okay with that being a stand here. That said, probably the best Detroit will look on a slate. Price tags aren't crazy, but I am lower on Cade Cunningham, even though all these guys here still have 5x or more value, which would generally make them plays you would consider worth playing. Besides that, getting 2x the field on Beasley, a little bit more on Jalen Duren, but less on Tobias Harris, less on Jaden Ivey, less on Cade Cunningham, about half of all these guys. Certainly makes sense pace-wise. You're going to lose a lot of roster flexibility as well if you do go to Detroit, Chicago. I think that's the only 7 o'clock game today. Let me just confirm that real fast. It's the only 7 o'clock game today. So if there were somebody ruled out late, if the Miles Turner news drags out, hopefully we'll know that one in advance because it's a 7:30 game. But basically, you kill a lot of flexibility if you do go heavy on Detroit too. So there's a lot of logical reasons to me to not go heavy on Detroit today, including my projections just being a little bit lower. Even these guys look fine. They're going to be much chalkier than I think they should be. Philadelphia, another key one on this slate. So not a high total game here. Philadelphia with 103.8 implied points on their side. Miami 108.3. Dyslexic dream here, or maybe nightmare. I don't know how it goes. But despite that, though, Philadelphia, no Joel Embiid again. As a result, all the players in Philadelphia are going to look a lot better. The key one is Jared McCain. So Jared McCain, I've been projecting highly pretty much every slate. You guys recall from the last video we did on Friday. The bit was basically, was it Friday? Happened a couple times last week, but basically every player I've been over projecting for the most part has been doing a little bit better than expected, besides Brandon Ingram, who finally played well last weekend and I think the weekend and Friday. He doesn't count, but everybody else I've been over projecting has been doing well. McCain I've had over projected for basically a couple of weeks now. Keep getting him on slates. Same thing today. The issue is like you're not sneaking up anybody with Jared McCain today. 63% ownership expected to go his way. I'm still getting him 98% in my sim. The salaries come up a little bit, but he's still point guard, shooting guard. Usage for him on the year has been about 28.5%, 25% assist rate. It goes a little bit higher on the sample size of court time without Tyrese Maxey, without Joel Embiid. We're talking about, look at his rates because I did import them in. Oh, I didn't mean to make that page enormous. I'll figure that out in a moment. His rates without Embiid and without Maxey, he is at 32% usage, 22% assist rate. Some of that court time without Paul George. With Paul George, the way my projections will work does kind of balance it out. So for Jared McCain in the spot, I feel like he's a strong play. I think if you were to try to get away from him, playing Paul George would be the logical thing to do. There's a world where, let's say, Paul George puts up 50 today, and if he were to do that, it would suck away from McCain's production a good amount. Paul George under 10% owned, like he's not going to be a highly owned play because the projection isn't popping like crazy. So I think if you want to get away from McCain, you could. To me, though, I'm probably going to put in a couple lineups today because I'll put most of my bankroll towards NFL. I would say that I'll put McCain locked into whatever lineups I build today, and I'll be optimizing on the solver, importing to the Stokastic sim. That's how I build my lineups, and I know McCain's going to be a core part of it. Shout out to Eddie here. Love the Splashway NBA takes. I appreciate it. It's been certainly a good run since starting the channel. This is my sport that I know NFL, I think better than most people. NBA, though, I think my data is really strong, and also my knowledge of the sport's better than most. So hopefully combines together for some results for you guys. And of course, I am here every day, Monday to Friday at 4 p.m. doing this for all the NBA slates we possibly can, as long as there's like more than one game. Andre Drummond looks okay to me. I've got him about 2x the field. Been producing at an Andre Drummondish rate when there isn't Joel Embiid on the court. So no issue with Drummond, really. Not a priority play, but 14% compared to the field's 6.5%. Feels about right to me. Yabusele, I'm also getting about 2x the field here. Just some more minutes to go around for the 26.7 minute projection for Yabusele today. Not a priority play by any stretch, but I think a decent value to me. We got him at 25.3 fantasy points, which is a little bit higher than what Stokastic has. Same thing for Drummond as well. And McCain as well, getting about 6 points higher than Stokastic is on him. He's just been crushing. Maybe the true shooting due to regress a little bit. Frankly, you watch him play. If you've been on social media at all and you have NBA, linked up with your For You page at all on Twitter, you're going to see people talk about Jared McCain and what a smart player he is. He does some things that are kind of advanced for a player of his age, where he'll have a possession where he kind of dies out. He'll then find a new spot, like things that vets do, like a Steph Curry will do a lot, which is an extreme example. Jared McCain, to me, just spot where there's usage to go around. I'll play him whenever that is the case, and I think people haven't caught up yet, or at least maybe the field has. The prices haven't caught up yet with the fact that he's basically Tyrese Maxey right now when there are all these guys out, and different player than Maxey, but like he's going to be more and more like Tyrese Maxey as he goes in terms of like the usage he's getting and all of that. It's a little bit lower than Maxey's, but like close enough. Miami on their side, today you have no Kyle Lowry. You also have no Jaime Jaquez, so a little bit more production to go around. Two guys who take enough in the stat sheet that should then get redistributed amongst everybody else. Usage-wise, I kept the 2024 rates for all these guys because it wasn't really a benefit to go into the historical sample size without Lowry on the court, without Rozier on the court. Basically just didn't make sense, and Lowry as well was part of it. These guys look okay to me. None of them look like a priority, though. Tyler Hero chased him the other day when he was as chalky as could be. Didn't quite work out. His price tag's now up a little bit to 8K flat. Still think he's an okay play at a 5.1x value, but I'm getting him 7%, 7.5%, fields at 3.8%. It's not a big stand spot here. But honestly, if you want to make the case here, like having a bring back here for Jared McCain, or if you're going to go Paul George and have a bring back, like trying to play a competitive game, Tyler Hero is probably your most logical pick, but having Jimmy Butler back in kind of knocks him down enough. Bam Adebayo has been pretty good. He was the one that went nuts and then Tyler Hero failed his chalk, sort of a push-pull dynamic there. Same thing for him, though. Having Jimmy Butler back in, I think, is not the best spot. So really, these guys, I think they project well enough to play. If you were to tell me you wanted to play them as crazy over-owned, or, for yourself, wanted to be overexposed to them as tournament plays, I think it'd be perfectly logical to do that. That said, because it's a competitive game, but like the projections aren't great, the prices aren't great. Sort of my main issue with the Heat here. Big Dick Duncan time. Duncan does look a little bit better. 23% of the field will be on him today. I got him in 29% of my lineups. Again, more usage go around, 25.4 minutes. $3,900 salary for Duncan Robinson. The bad news, shooting guard only, so position eligibility not fantastic. Probably due to shoot a little bit better this year, but it's Duncan Robinson, so that kind of goes hit or miss. No pun intended. But Robinson looks okay to me. I prefer him to Nikola Jovic today, which is kind of surprising. I usually like Jovic's cross-category ability a little bit more, but about 4 minutes in projection difference here is probably the difference on that. So Jovic fine too, but he'll be 22% owned. He'll be much lower on that and higher on Duncan Robinson, which is certainly a take. It's a take I didn't personally do myself, but it's a take that combined together with a sim to work out. Washington, 109.5 implied points for them. So the big issue that they have, still kind of priced up a little bit, though the price tag's starting to balance out a little bit more from the court time where Kuzma was out, price tag stayed high. Kuzma came back in, they didn't really adjust. Now they're adjusting down. The issues you're bringing in Malcolm Brogdon, who has not been taking a ton of usage so far. Just a few minutes he's played so far for the team, but 11% usage, 5% rebound rate. Keeping his rates historical, you would have him at about 17 points projection. Stokastic has him at 19.3, so Brogdon himself not playable, but killing enough possessions that he does make Kuzma less playable, Poole less playable. Bilal Coulibaly's questionable. If he were out, it would open things up a little bit more, but not enough that I think anybody become a priority play necessarily. So right now, Wizards to me, kind of unplayable. Also a 15-point dog or 14.5-point dog. A little bit tough to love Washington in the spot with their price tags. Even the ownership here, 5%. I got 3% on Kuzma, a 2.5 for Poole. I got 0.7%. I just got nothing here, and I'm perfectly okay with that. New York on their side, I love Cat again. Other guy I've had higher projected than the field and the industry for the most part since basically the season has started. It's paid off pretty well. Keep getting Towns on slates. He keeps breaking things for the most part. Did hurt himself yesterday. Fell with about, I think, 9 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Couldn't come back in, though they did say Thibodeau said that basically like he could have played, but they thought defensively it wasn't a good matchup. Truth is probably somewhere in the middle. So Towns banged up, but still supposed to play today. The issue is like, maybe you could talk about fading him, worry about the injury more. He's going against Washington. He should absolutely smash Washington in the spot. A big pace up for the Knicks. They're playing at a 95.8 pace. Washington playing at a 103.4 pace. So the spot looks good for Towns overall. Salary still not high enough. As I've mentioned on pretty much every video, Towns has been on the slate. Should be priced like 9,500, maybe even 10K flat at this point. Still hanging at 9K. So he's the value superstar pay up option of the slate. I think looks like one of the best ones overall. And he's just been a beast on the year. I've got him at 1.6 fantasy points per minute today. He's been at 1.5 on the year. Smash against Washington's too good, and he himself has been too good on the year. Brunson would have looked a lot better if Towns were out. I got 4% of him. Fields going to have 10% according to Stokastic. That's okay by me. I don't really want to go crazy on Brunson. If you were to see Towns fail, it'd probably be because Brunson put up some more points. Would also potentially be like Josh Hart scoops some more rebounds. Brunson put up more points. The ball just didn't touch Towns' hands enough. Maybe he sets up Bridges and Anunoby more. Brunson does. I guess Hart could as well. That's sort of the way you could play a Towns failing approach if you wanted to. And if Towns failed, because the spots against Washington, you could really hit potentially on Brunson, Hart, Bridges, some combo of Bridges and Anunoby. So if you're going to not play Towns, I think the move would be play more Knicks, hope the other Knicks get hot against a Washington team who can't defend stuff. But Cat will be 10K soon. I mean, he should be. Until he's 10K, though, like I don't see how you get less than the field of him. I'll have him in half my lineups tonight, or I would have in a 150 set. I'll probably just lock him in, though. Like, based on what I saw before the video, I think there are 3 guys that jumped out to me as players I want in every lineup. It would be Towns, it would be McCain, and it'd be one guy we haven't hit yet, but we will hit in a moment. Mikal Bridges, I didn't get a lot of him here. Would have looked a lot better if Towns were out. Let's see. Anunoby, being with the field on him looks good. Josh Hart, I always get more than the field on. He just plays so many minutes. And if, let's say, Towns got in foul trouble or something, he'd become a better play in game. So Josh Hart to me looks better if you don't play Towns, but still good enough to play with small forward, power forward eligibility. Shout out Mike here saying, good afternoon, Spags. What did you say that Cat DK ownership was about? The injury driving it down. It's just the price tag coming up, I guess. Stokastic also has been 51 as opposed to the 53.6 that I have, but the ownership's high. I mean, it's still 41%, so it's not like it's low ownership. I don't think there's anything I said that it'd be muted about compared to the injury, but maybe people concerned about the injury back-to-back, seeing the Q tag, maybe casual players would not play him and I want to click him right now if they saw that Q tag earlier. But there really aren't many casual players who play NBA DFS, especially on a Monday football slate. It's like the ownership is probably correct and efficient and all of that at 41%. That's basically it for the Knicks campaign. Got a few sprinkles of. And Brunson, I do think the main thing for tournaments, if you wanted to fade Towns, load up on other Knicks, I think would be a wise move. But I still wouldn't fade Towns if I'm putting in a few lineups. Indiana, 118.8 implied points on their side. Toronto, 115.3. The other key chalk player, I guess 2 of them here. The key chalk player for me, though, is Jarris Walker. So right now, Miles Turner's questionable. If Miles Turner's out, Mathurin's going to look better. Halliburton's going to look a little bit better. Siakam's going to look better. Basically, a lot of rebounds to go around without Turner in there. So Mathurin's been the best rebounder of the team so far of the starters. 12.7% rebound rate. It's actually better than Turner. So Mathurin being live for a double-double, I think, comes more into play as well. $6,500 salary for him, shooting guard, small forward. So Mathurin, a strong play now. He'll have a 21% ownership, and he would look a lot better if Turner were out. Siakam, I'm not sure I would get a ton more. I'd probably get closer to the field on his ownership. He's 16% projected owned right now. I'm getting 6%. Halliburton, I don't know if I get him even if Turner is out. Halliburton's rates just aren't good. They don't change much for the better if everybody's out. Halliburton without Turner on the court just this year, 24% usage rate, 36% assist rate. It would look better, but it's really not that much better than where he's at right now. For comparison's sake, though, Pascal Siakam has been a 1.3 fantasy point per minute player when Turner's off the court, so he would look a lot better to me. Substantially better, I guess, maybe not a lot better. Jarris Walker, though, playable now. The 75% ownership is assuming that Turner's in. If Turner were out, Jarris Walker's going to get more minutes, might pick up the start, though I can't guarantee that. Could be Obi Toppin. But I think Jarris Walker is a really strong play. He's been producing well per minute, 0.98 fantasy points per minute. Small forward, power forward eligibility, 4,300. Like him a lot. The issue is that basically Stokastic has him soaking up all the Ben Shepherd minutes with Ben Shepherd out tonight. I'm not sure if that's the case, so I'd feel a little more comfortable with all this Walker exposure if we knew for sure that Turner were out. Right now with him in, like there's a chance Walker maybe doesn't get as many minutes as Stokastic has him for, and they have him for 27.9 minutes. That's like a pretty key stand on the night. FF Doom saying, wouldn't be surprised if we get a big Siakam game coming back to Toronto and no Turner. Yeah, I mean, look, the Turner part being out, like him being out's the key thing for me. If Turner's out, everybody here becomes more of a must play. As it is right now, the value guys just project too well. Walker and McConnell both picking up a lot of minutes with Shepherd being out. Any core 4 we should have for DK? I'm not going to just give you the answers to the test, but the guys that I would think look most important to me right now would be Towns, McCain, and Jarris Walker. The 4th doesn't really come into play yet. Toronto, 115.3 implied points, but please, like, build your own lineups. Don't just look for me for that. I show you guys my top projected players. I try to talk about it, agnostically. I don't like telling you guys play these guys because that's just not how DFS works. Like, even a Towns thing, it's like, look, I love Towns tonight. If you're a tournament player, though, you should start be thinking about how do these players fail. Like, nothing's really core 4, core whatever. Like, it's just not how I would try to think of things if you can. Toronto, 115.3 implied points on their side in this game against Indiana. Jakob Poeltl looks pretty good to me. 32% ownership in my sim compared to 22% for the field. RJ Barrett, 21% compared to 16%. So 2 stands here I'm a little bit higher on. Chris Boucher, I got a lot because of the $4,400 price tag. It's part of why I'm getting Jarris Walker so much. This $4,300/$4,400 spot seems to open up the rest of the players that look key, including guys like Towns, including guys like McCain. So I think of the spot, not crazy about Boucher, but if Jarris Walker, let's say Turner is in and Jarris Walker doesn't become like a locked in play that I think is guaranteed some center minutes or, good amount of center minutes, I think Chris Boucher would gain an appeal in that spot. If Turner is out, Jarris Walker is just a better play. So I have right now Walker projected for 4 more fantasy points as it is. If Turner were out, Walker to me would probably be like a mid-30s guy and could not avoid playing him. Towns too much ownership for a big field DK tournaments. It's basketball. That's insane. Even in football, you could play a guy that's 50% owned, 40% owned. In basketball, you could absolutely play it. Please don't think that way about NBA DFS. That'd be a reason why you lose a lot of money. You should definitely not think that way. No suspect or anything, but like, you don't have to fade a guy just because he's going to be 40% owned. You could be the best player in the slate. There really aren't center options that are like that close. I like Şengün. Like, I like other guys here too. You could pivot off of Towns again, but like, don't just not play a guy, please. Houston, 110.3 implied points. Milwaukee, 113.8 on their side. Şengün's the big stand for me here, getting about 3x the field in the 150 set I made before the show and simmed out. Şengün, I also have higher projected than Stokastic, have about 3.3 fantasy points higher. His rate's been great on the year, 1.45 fantasy points per minute. I'd have him at 1.52 today, which is enough of a gap here. Matchup against Milwaukee has been pretty good for centers, and not in a DVP way, but just in a production way. Van Vliet, not a guy I'm getting to. I just don't see it if you give him the season-long projections. The issue with Van Vliet is like his usage game to game kind of varies a little bit, where sometimes you'll have him deferring more to Jalen Green. Sometimes you'll have him taking the ball full court, running the offense more with Jalen Green. I don't really know what to do with Van Vliet because the projections don't make sense to me. I'm low on him on every slate. It's going to be the case again today. He can absolutely go off at 6,800. The price tag works. Stokastic projection makes him look like a much better play. For me, though, he looks about 4 points less good. And I think that's accounting mostly for the fact that Van Vliet has just not been playing well in the year. But I still roll in his previous results from last year, too. They're just also not great, and the usage rates are down a lot. Usage at 18% is pretty low. Assist rate 24.4%. Like, it's all pretty low. But probably what I'm giving to Şengün is coming back here from Fred Van Vliet. Why are we still doing this bit, man? I don't know what this is. We talked about this already. I just don't care. Please. I don't know what Uncle Rico is. You've asked this now multiple times, and I've answered it multiple times. Please. New bit, please. Tari Eason. Not a great value today. He's been a core player for me, small forward, power forward. On the last few slates today, I can't imagine I'll get him that much. 2.4% field ownership. I'm at 2.7. Amin Thompson, 14.2% ownership for him. To me, a better FanDuel play, but his price tags come up there enough. Probably not an Amin Thompson day for me, though I did get him 9% because of the shooting guard, small forward eligibility, and the fact that he does have a tangible ceiling. Besides that, nothing a priority for me with Houston. 3% sim ownership for Dillon Brooks. Yeah, 3% for Van Vliet. Nothing that crazy. Milwaukee, I still got 15% Giannis. He does project to be the best player in the slate. Price tag tough to get to, but if you take the values, you can get to Giannis if you want to. So not the strongest one overall. For Giannis, look, I think we know what the deal is with him. The issue is like that 50-something fantasy point day we saw the other day. You're not going to get that with Lillard in tow for the most part. Lillard's going to take enough possessions away. He takes about 60% of the possessions away when he's on the field when you combine his usage rate and his assist rate, which basically tells you how much a guy is dominating possessions, how much the guy has the ball in his hands when he's on the court. So for Lillard, don't like him and his price tag. Really awful value. Feels like he's carrying the previous price tag when Giannis was out. Giannis now higher price because of his big games, but then Lillard's back in. So really tough to get here, even though Giannis, if he can get there, is fine enough play as he is on any day. Jabari at 4,900. Jabari Smith, not for me. I got no exposure here. I have a really low too. I'm at 22.9 fantasy points. He's been kind of lost because he's not playing backup center at all. Like, he's not taking minutes away from center, from Şengün at all at center, and that's sort of his main issue. Jabari Smith, I don't know. With the rates, he's like down across everything. He's at 0.83 fantasy points per minute. He's becoming in my opinion, at least in this current Houston team, becoming kind of like mini Isaac Okoro, where he's just like not involved very much, out there doing some defensive stats, providing decent wing defense, but like just not doing anything. So I'm not crazy about Jabari myself. Could have been a breakout year for Jabari. Would have let down so far. It's like, the thing is, like, for a year for it to be better, you just have to have guys. You have to have guys with usage leaving. Like Jared McCain, the reason Jared McCain is breaking down as a rookie, and obviously it's rookie tier 1, whatever, but it's because he's coming into a team where it's like you don't have Maxey's usage in there. You don't have Joel Embiid's usage in there for at least, half the time McCain's been playing. As a result, you just have like, 60%, probably more like 85% of the possessions those guys were on the court. They just get vacated entirely. Somebody who has usage naturally, who possesses the ball well, who's a lead ball handler, who gets shots up, they kind of fill in and take that over. For a guy like Jabari Smith, like he would need Şengün to be out. He probably would need one of Van Vliet and Jalen Green to get out. Tari Easton's honestly a more productive player than him. He needs to not have him on the court. Like there's a lot of guys that naturally have usage more than Jabari Smith, whereas he's a guy that just picks up usage when there's nobody else left. So sort of the way I would say to try to view basketball based on what I know and at least how I try to view it. But, your mileage may vary. Orlando, 107 implied points for them. A little bit above the field on a lot of these guys. Franz Wagner looks good to me. Price tag come up enough that he's not a priority, but he'll be 10% owned by the field. I'll have 16%. Jalen Suggs, 12% owned by the field. I'll have 17%. I'm a little bit, actually, I'm flat even with Stokastic on him and vaguely higher on Franz Wagner than Stokastic is currently. Goga Batadze, a little bit higher as well. I got 17% ownership compared to the field's 10. Mo Wagner, a little bit lower on. Actually, 0.2 lower than Stokastic as well, projection-wise. Not the biggest differences, though. The priorities to me are Wagner, Suggs, to a lesser extent, Goga Batadze. Batadze's minutes, though, have been really hard to pin down. Some days he does a lot. Some days he does not very much. Today, he'll see Mason Plumlee filling in for Nurkic enough. You don't really need to have a big against Plumlee if you don't want to, so I think Batadze is an okay play, but even the 26.4 minutes projection, I think he gets to like the low 20s enough. It's a little more anecdotal than it is me going game by game in my head right now. But the downside for minutes Batadze is not the best. Everybody else here, not the greatest plays. Got a little bit of KCP, a little bit of Anthony Black, nothing that matters. Devin Booker, shocked I didn't get more, honestly. Shocked he doesn't project better. Shocked I didn't get more. It's a tough match against Orlando on paper, not a high pace spot. Orlando's defense is pretty good, so the efficiency metrics would support maybe getting less Booker. But Booker here, I think more of a tournament play than he should be. A 1.5% owned, an awkward salary. If they do well today, they are a 4-point dog at home now to Orlando, which is kind of crazy to see. Devin Booker, I think, would be a valid play to go to. We saw him go off the other day in a game where no Beal there, no Durant there, no Nurkic there now as well. So there's a lot of usage to go around. But honestly, I'm surprised to see it not being distributed mostly to Devin Booker. I gave Devin Booker pretty aggressive rates as well. He gave Booker, because in court time without Beal and Durant going back to last year, and I also threw in Eric Gordon just to really get rid of all the secondary ball handlers / shooters. Devin Booker's got 35% usage, 35% assist rate, 1.36 fantasy points per minute. Because of the matchup, though, I can only get him as high as 1.24 fantasy points per minute today. So Booker can hit. Booker can be a tournament play that wins it all. I just don't see it with the current projections, and that's, again, the push-pull of it all. Like, that's a trade-off for what the Mike was asking about before with Towns, where it's like, you don't worry about Towns. Worry about hitting Devin Booker going off at 1.5% ownership. You can play Towns with that, and that's going to help you win a tournament if Towns hits even 40% of the field. So Booker, the kind of play that today maybe gets owned a little bit more because people just kind of force him in, knowing that there's a lot of usage to go around. But like in terms of the total here, not a great spot on paper for Booker. Played Ryan Dunn in a short slate, never again. And Ryan Dunn projects like a player. I've had Ryan Dunn in like some larger groups of lineups. I'm doing 25 maxes or 20 maxes and stuff like that. So, like Ryan Dunn can happen. Still not a good play though, no matter what. Really nobody else on Phoenix matters that much for me. Got 13% Grayson Allen right with the field on his 13.8% ownership. Mason Plumlee, I got 5% compared to 1. I kind of like Plumlee in this spot. Feels like you need Plumlee in there against Orlando having two decent bigs, Batadze and Wagner. So Plumlee, 28 minutes of the projection for him. I've got him scoring 26.5 fantasy points here. That's with his rates being down a little bit this year so far in Phoenix. So Mason Plumlee, not chalk, might be a good center play as a value. Nothing else here looks that good to me, though, besides that. And that's sort of the main stuff here. FanDuel slate, Atlanta, Sacramento. Talked about De'Aaron Fox before. He looks really good to me. Besides that, nothing I really have a whole lot to say about. Golden State, Steph Curry being in. He's been playing really well so far this year, shooting the lights out again. 1.5 fantasy points per minute. That's would have him down a little bit going against the Clippers with the total and the pace down spot. Pace down spot for Golden State. Harden still looks good to me. Zubac looks good. Powell looks good. These late games, though, not a lot for me to love. I think Fox is really the main one here. I would highlight Fox. If you're playing that DK late slate, that price tag's way too low for Fox. I would project for 55.5 fantasy points today. All right, let's go over to our friends at Unabated now. We've done the data dig. Of course, we will do a lineup sim as well for DFS lineups on DraftKings tonight. We're going to do some prop markets coming up next year. And let me play the video and load up the tab. And let's get it going here with Unabated conditional NBA projections coming up. God, it's a lot of numbers on the screen. If your eyes aren't bleeding looking at Unabated prop markets, then you've done something wrong. You should be so in tune here. You should feel like you're Neo in the Matrix. So these dynamic conditional projections, they're dynamic and dynamite, I'd say. Get some news as well. All the news updates, they tag you in their Discord. You can see the alerts. You don't have to be a pauper on Twitter anymore. You can get premium notifications for a team of people doing it professionally. Do you like graphs? You love graphs. Here's some graphs. We all love graphs, and now you're getting them. Check out these sweet graphs. Check out this community. Check out these expert live streams. Look at these guys. They're pretty cool. Nice guys. I like them. Chat to them. Chat to your money if you want to. Chat to whatever you want. All right, there we go. Now let's get some prop markets going. I got the right tab open. Let's do points first. Goal here is to find you guys some good bets to get in on your prize picks, your underdog, and of course the big main books here, DK Sportsbook and FanDuel that pretty much everybody has. Let's see what we can get. Sim them out here using Unabated projections. Of course, your conditional NBA projections we have right now, and we will sim out everything here and see what our top ROI bets and positions would be at this time of day at 4:32 a.m. to 4:32 p.m. on the East Coast. Why is DK leaving games off the slate? Only 6 games because they don't want people to have to late swap at 10 o'clock. That's how it goes. And frankly, I support them for it. You don't want to be late swapping all night. Frankly, for Mullen, for any of us, honestly, even for people that really take this seriously, late swapping it over and over again for fucking 4 hours of a slate is not fun for anybody. So I would try to support that more if you can. It only makes the pros advantage even greater. All right, top points bets right now, according to Unabated's projections. You do 11.7% EV on over 11 points on PrizePicks. That one looks pretty good there to add to a PrizePicks card. Also a good bet to take. Anything over an 8% sim EV is one that you can take. General 2% EV or higher is going to be the thing for most market-based EV calculations, expected value stuff. For sims, though, we are getting some high EVs on that stuff. Whoa, okay, hold on. Something just moved in here. This Brook Lopez line looks wildly inefficient. Looks like Underdog mispriced it, would be my guess here. The Underdog has it priced at under 24.5. It's 23.5 on PrizePicks, and looks like it's 23.5 on DraftKings Sportsbook. So you have 80.7% EV right now on a Brook Lopez under 24.5 on an Underdog pick'em. So I would run to take that right now. That line is just out of sync with the market. It will probably get changed pretty fast. Josh Giddey, just talked about him, 11.7% EV on over 11. Jabari Smith, 11.3% EV on over 9.5. So if you want to back Jabari Smith, maybe don't want to play him in DFS, play him on your pick'em slips where you still get 10% EV. And on FanDuel right now, you get 11.3% EV. Still playable as well for Jabari Smith over 9.5 points on DraftKings at minus 125 odds. Dylan Brooks, value on his under 12.5 right now. Points for Dylan Brooks. He's projected for 11.7. You're getting 8.7% EV on Dylan Brooks under 12.5 on PrizePicks. Still decent EV on FanDuel and DraftKings, but you don't have to play that one. A little bit under the 8% threshold we're looking for. And that's basically it on the points lines. That Brook Lopez one, if you're putting up Underdog pick'em together for today, I would grab that immediately because that's going to likely get changed pretty fast. Rebounds. Let's look here next. Sim them all out. 100% for chopping games off at start 3 hours after the first game's lock. It's just, it's not beneficial for casual players. It's not beneficial for most people here. Like really late swap, like DFS lineup building, a difficult thing to do. It's a special skill. Late swap, a special skill on top of it. So like you don't want to have to do that generally. Like obviously it's still better to have it when a player gets rolled out. You feel that sense of control and all of that. But like even with, Stokastic late swap tool, which is great, I do not enjoy late swapping. Like it's still a hassle. It's still delays. You're waiting for data to come in. You have to rebuild everything, get it in time. Like it's as easy as you can possibly get it with Stokastic. And yet I still think you're better off having less late swapping than not in your life. Not in terms of like your advantage, but in terms of like you just don't want other people to be able to do it. Your top rebound props, over 3.5 rebounds for Fred VanVleet, plus 110 odds of that one. Anytime I see a plus money bet here, that's one you should always try to take because basically it's telling you have an advantage. And it's also not basically paying vig on the bet, really. 12.3% EV, plus 110 odds on over 3.5 rebounds for Fred VanVleet. It's projected for 3.9 today by Unabated. You're getting 11.5% EV on Jalen Green's under on 4.5 rebounds. Another plus 100 bet here. 11.5% EV on DK Sportsbook. Trey Lyles under 7.5 rebounds, 10.7% EV. That one also playable on DK Sportsbook. Minus 110 odds. As you can see right here, I didn't mean to click it, but you can also see the line history over here if you're curious about it. Şengün, cusp playable at 7%. Nothing that great, though. A few more ones here that I'll sort back in. Amin Thompson over 6.5 points looks good. You're getting a projection of 6.5 rebounds. 6.9 rebounds is the projection. You're getting value on plus 105 odds, 9.2% EV for over 6.5 rebounds for Amin Thompson. Let's see, anything else here? That's a Tyus Jones. This one just came in over 2.5 rebounds for Tyus Jones. Should see a lot of court time today. Has not been really productive as a Sun, which does spook me a little bit here. But he is going to be on the court. Rebounds could just fall in his hand. So 11.4% EV on over 2.5 rebounds on PrizePicks and Underdog. And you're still getting value as well on DK Sportsbook, about 7% EV there. Looks like the best play, though, on FanDuel Sportsbook besides the Pick'em sites. Minus 122 odds on FanDuel. Let's go over to assists next. Again, the goal here is to give you guys some easy plus EV bets based on Unabated's data, which is most premium and used for really top-level bettors who are paying for Unabated's data. Frankly, I think was made as much for the staff there, who was also a founding team of rated top-earning bettors. But basically, if you use this data and you take advantage of lines when they are still active, you're going to get good results. It's really one thing I would say. Whenever I put bets on, and I usually do them in the afternoon before the show, before their projections have come out, I'll put a few little things in. It's been really good. It's been really good. I don't have an exact number here because I haven't looked at Pick'em in a minute, but I've won a lot more with this than I have anything else I've used, including my own product, probably, which was great and actually got really good results. This is like prop betting off of really good proprietary projections. Really important. You can see lines moving as I talk, so let's get through it and not waste time. Assist lines here. We have value on over 4 assists for Jalen Suggs. 24.2% EV on PrizePicks right now. Looks like you have less EV. You don't want to take it on Underdog and you don't want to take it on Underdog. Don't want to take it on DraftKings and FanDuel, but on PrizePicks, 24.2% EV for Jalen Suggs over 4 assists right now. Fred VanVleet value on under 6.5 assists. That one's on PrizePicks right now. Gets you 15.8% EV. Damian Lillard value on over 6.5 assists. That one's on DK Sportsbook. Plus 120 odds on DK Sportsbook for Damian Lillard over 6.5 assists. You get 10% EV on that one because he currently has a 6.7 assist projection. Giannis here getting value on under 6 assists. Can be played on PrizePicks with 10% EV for Giannis under 6 assists. Tobias Harris rounded up 8 if you wanted to play this one on FanDuel Sportsbook. Over 2.5 assists for Tobias Harris gets you 7.8% EV. If you take that right now at minus 108 odds. And keep in mind, the odds a big part of the equation here. Naturally, PrizePicks and Underdog have minus 118 default odds for the Pick'ems. Something to keep in mind here. It basically calculates EV off of that. We're saying, like, if you were to put a bet in at minus 118, that has a certain win rate. It's a win rate times the win amount minus the loss rate times the loss amount. So same principle as anything EV calculation you're going to do in betting, but obviously simulated would be the difference here. It's a really fast explanation, but we only have so much time here, and I don't want to dilly-dally. I'm getting you guys the data before it becomes stale. Let's see what else we got here. All right. There we go. Best lines on PRAs right now. You're getting value on over 16.5 PRAs for Brook Lopez. Minus 118 on PrizePicks. That's, of course, the default odds line. But 14.2% value. Playable on PrizePicks and Underdog right now. Brook Lopez over 16.5 PRAs. And that line not available on DraftKings and FanDuel currently. Josh Giddey value on a PrizePicks and Underdog line here, but you want to take it more so on DK Sportsbook. 13.2% EV on over 22.5 PRAs for Josh Giddey. Get that one at minus 105 odds right now if you can on DK Sportsbook. Cade Cunningham value on over 39.5 PRAs. Really high projection. Unabated projecting for a double-double. So what it's worth, I might be a little bit low on Cade Cunningham, honestly. Good markets here, over 39.5 PRAs, but 10% EV on over 39.5 PRAs for Cade Cunningham at minus 110 odds. You're getting 9.7% EV on Jaden Ivey right now, over 27.5 PRAs. Available on PrizePicks and not available anywhere else. That's going to give you good EV on that. And Franz Wagner, under on his PRAs, under 40. Actually, it's interesting to see. So Franz here, a 40-point line on PrizePicks. Cade Cunningham, 39.5. I think most places are going to have Cade projected more. So it's kind of interesting to see for Wagner. All right. Franz Wagner, though, under 40, 8.7% value for him. Looks like there's some lines out there. Over 37.5 is still a line. That's a weird one. Why is that? Yeah, they moved it on both sides. If you're going to play the over, playing over 37.5 would be the one, but it doesn't look like that's actually plus EV based on the math of it all. What else do we have to look at here? One thing real fast I'm going to show you guys. Again, I wrote it up before for the DK Sportsbook, but I do want to show you it here in practicality. So basically here, if you want to use Unabated projections, take a look at how guys look with certain players in or out. Oh, oops. What did I just do? Let's go back. But I want to show this because this is basically what I do every day when I'm trying to compare, the various lines of the projections for guys when Miles Turner is in versus when he's out. So what you would do here is you go to the conditional projections, mark the guy in or out. So right now for Miles Turner, we're going to pull up all the Pacers players. We can then see all of the unabated projections at once here. And what you could do is basically, if you wanted to, you could place bets for Turner being out. So what you would do then is sim all this stuff out. And what you'll do is you'll happen to see lines that are going to come up here in a moment. They're going to show like, hey, here's what the EV would be if Turner is not going to play today. So let's see what it's doing. It's loading right now. So your best EV if Turner doesn't play would be under 33.5. Wow. So still value on the under for Tyrese Halliburton. That's kind of crazy to see. At least Unabated's with me on the fact that Halliburton, not the same player as he's been in past years. But 13.4% EV on under 33.5 PRAs for Halliburton if Turner is out. Agbaji not really affected. This one to be playable no matter what, under 20.5 PRAs for Agbaji. Pascal Siakam, value on the over if Turner sits, 6.5% EV. Looks like these lines for the most part are efficient. This Halliburton line, though, they could be a good line no matter what because projection is definitely higher with Turner out than it is with Turner in. And then same thing here. If you want to see Turner in, you wanted to play some markets here in the hopes that he plays. He's got his line down here. Miles Turner, 18.6 points, 7.5 rebounds. Not plus EV to take anywhere, but point being, that's one thing you can do with the conditional NBA projections. I'm going to try to show you guys more of it because I'm probably not doing the best job promoting it. But their projections are great. If you wanted to use projections that were proprietary and not being used a ton on DFS sites out there, I'd recommend checking out Unabated. $30 off. They even have some other deals on top of that right now going. So check it out at unabated.com/NBA. Use the promo code SPLASH to get that $30 off any monthly package. It's a great tool, especially if you want to get good bets in. The simulation tool, one of the parts you can get as well. It's really nice to get these bets in, to have the simulation as well. It kind of just makes you feel a little more competency in your bet. Market-based betting is good, but betting off projection sets from proprietary top-earning betting sites is one of the best things you can do. And this is an ad, but like legit, like really, please take advantage of it if you can, because you're costing yourself money if you don't. All right, let's go back to the Stokastic Sims next, and let's see what we're getting for DFS lineups tonight. I do have the deeper dive coming up on Stokastic at 5 o'clock as well. So right after this one, I'll be going into it next. All right, 35% here. Let's generate our contest. This is going to be all Stokastic projections, no influence or mine. So you'll see what they get here. My sim numbers do reflect my projections, so just keep that in mind. The conditional projections are great. Like, honestly, I think the fact too, like, especially for betting market stuff, but really for DFS, if you're taking DFS very seriously, using Stokastic projections is a great way to do things as well. I'll put up the ad for them. 15% off Stokastic's data and tools down below. If you want to use the promo code SPLASH, there you go. There's a sticker up there. But if you wanted to play DFS slates, especially if you're like 150 maxing the mini max or something like that, I would really try to use Unabated's projections and just make a simple formula to calculate out like what the projection of fantasy points would be, because you're getting like really like bespoke projections. These guys update them the entire day for all sorts of players coming in and out. And like, they're doing it in a way where like, it's not every DFS player using this stuff. So if you're going to really try to get EV on something and still use quality data and not build it yourself, I think Unabated's projections are one that it's probably underrepresented right now. Like, people suck off ETR. I know from looking at Unabated stuff so far, their numbers have been even better. And again, I love ETR, but like, if you're trying to approach this the right way and you don't want to spend a ton of money, I think Unabated's projections will get you more unique and also be the best you could probably get. I'm including building them yourself, to be honest, but I just like building my own. Let's see what we get sim-wise here on Stokastic. Of course, if you're new around here, Mondays are a little bit slower because it's an NFL day. I know that. But if you appreciate this content, make sure to subscribe down below, hit the like button, leave a comment. I do these videos for the NBA Monday to Friday, of course, at 4 p.m. every day. Thanks to our partners at Unabated, and make sure to check it out here. I'll be back tomorrow. Again, NBA Cup coming back tomorrow, so hopefully some fun stuff to look at there, some extended minutes, all that good stuff. But I would hope that if you watch these shows, though, I hope the EV and what I provide data-wise speaks for itself. And I know some people in the chat will attest to it if they feel like it. But it's been a good run here of content, and I just think I do NBA content better than most. So we'll see. You be the judge. Tell you what, though, now with Jamal Murray on Friday. Jamal Murray still got to 40 fantasy points. I didn't feel that bad about it. But, man, he just is not the same dude anymore. And that's one thing that projections just can't tell you. Because you look at all the projection data without Jokic on the court, without Aaron Gordon on the court, and you just get the story of Jamal Murray being a beast, and you see it in real life, and it's like, holy shit, he just can't do anything anymore, can he? And that's unfortunately how it goes sometimes. Are your top lineups right now, according to Stokastic, then we'll look at the overalls. You got Jalen Brunson, number one. Jalen Brunson, Grayson Allen, Jarris Walker, OG Anunoby, Jalen Duren, TJ McConnell, RJ Barrett, and Jakob Poeltl. So what we talked about right away with the Karl-Anthony Towns stuff, you're not getting Towns here. You're getting leverage against him with Jalen Brunson, theoretically. That's a sim top lineup right now. Number two would be Jaden Ivey, Grayson Allen, OG Anunoby, Pascal Siakam, Jalen Duren, KCP, Paul George, and Jakob Poeltl. So another one here, no Towns, trying to get Nick leverage against him with OG Anunoby in this one as well. Last one had Brunson and Anunoby. So you can see the logic here of how the sims work, trying to pull things away. Let's see what else we got. We got Jared McCain, Grayson Allen, Amin Thompson, Tobias Harris, Bam Adebayo, Tyrese Halliburton, Jarris Walker, and Jakob Poeltl. Another one with no Towns. I'm surprised. I mean, I know they're a little bit lower on Towns than I am, but I am surprised that Towns is not the key part of what they're doing. I think the projections that they have like Cade Cunningham more. You're getting Cade in this one. Cade Cunningham, Kobe White, your number 4 ROI lineup. OG Anunoby, Jarris Walker, Jalen Duren, Tyrese Halliburton, Nikola Jovic, and Goga Bitadze. Jamal Murray too busy caring about MMA? I don't know what that bit is, but sure. Cade Cunningham, your 5th ROI lineup. Cunningham, Ivy, Wagner, Franz Wagner, that is. Nikola Jovic, Jakob Poeltl, TJ McConnell, Yabusele, and Goga Bitadze. I got to tell you, man, these lineups are going to look different from mine. You're not getting McCain up top. You are getting Jarris Walker a little bit, though not everywhere. I'll definitely get Jarris Walker everywhere. I've got him projected about 4 fantasy points higher today. Yeah, I'm surprised that their lineups look this way. Top ROI players, according to Stokastic, you're getting Jalen Duren, 10% ROI for him. The exposure that we have in the top 150 set. Yabusele, 3% exposure for him, or 3% ROI rather, the 150 set. And Goga Bitadze, a 1% ROI rounded up in a 150 set. Everybody else negative across 150 overall. And your most negative is going to be Dalen Terry. Okay. I was just curious to see what the lowest ROI would be, and it being Dalen Terry does not surprise me. Top exposure across a 150 set. Getting Jared McCain in 57% of lineups. Again, before the show, with my projection on McCain, which is a little bit higher, I had McCain at 98% exposure. But that's the difference between having McCain at 40.4 versus having him at 34.7. So choose your weapon here. No, Giannis is too expensive. We talked about Giannis a lot today. He's $12K. Nobody else in that price range. The projection's not so high. So that's a big reason why. You don't have to put Giannis at every single slate, especially when Lillard is back in. Jalen Duren, and his price tag has come up. His price tag is now $12K. It's higher than it was without Lillard. So that's the big reason why. That's how DFS, it's a way to view DFS. Like price tags moving, especially in basketball. It's actually a thing that Petty Theft talked about in Lowell's last week that he watched out for. Is like price movements. And why is price moving? Is it because the guy's just running cold, or is it like he's playing less minutes? His rates are down. So being price sensitive in NBA DFS, one of the most important things. More important than football too. Firing up Terry tonight. Don't want the 6K from the 4-point play if I can't win suboptimally. Yeah, Dalen Terry is your suboptimal pathway to victory, I'm sure. Besides that, Jalen Duren, 55% exposure compared to 13%. That is way over the field on Jalen Duren. They want you to get 42% leverage on Jalen Duren. Jarris Walker, 50% compared to 32%. When the mid-range has value that looks good, you don't get there. So if you want to play Giannis, go ahead, use the value to do that. The field probably won't. Doesn't mean it's a bad play. It just means that the way that projections will push you is like, so guys like Jared McCain, guys like Jalen Duren in this build, guys like Jarris Walker, who is a value play as well. you're getting a much more balanced build based on the Sims here. Jakob Poeltl, 44% exposure compared to 22%. So double the field on Jakob Poeltl in these Stokastic Sims. Tobias Harris, 41% compared to 25. So pretty good. Honestly, that's a lot of leverage on Tobias Harris, but it's a pace-up spot against Chicago, which I think Stokastic's projections and Sims seems to really be favoring. Grayson Allen, 2x the field on him, 20% in the pool, 40% exposure in these top 150 lineups. Jaden Ivey, 32% compared to 27, so close to flat. A little bit low on TJ McConnell at 28 compared to 35. A little bit high on Halliburton with 27 compared to 17. Low on Towns again, 26 compared to 41, so they don't even want to spend up for Towns in these lineup builds. And Anunoby, a little bit above the field on him, 25 compared to 21. Your highest leverage guys overall, Duran, 42% more leverage. Poeltl, 22%. Allen, 20%. Jarris Walker, 18. Tobias Harris, 16. So there you go. Those are the Stokastic lineups, guys. So that's pretty much everything here. I'm going to be on the deeper dive in about 9 minutes, so come check me out there on Stokastic. It's going to be a little bit different because I'll get to volley things back and forth with my pal Josh Engelman. Your splash plays of the day, at least from how I view the slate right now. And it is assuming Miles Turner's in. If Miles Turner's out, it's going to change things even more and actually make Jarris Walker a better play. But the guys I would build around today on DraftKings would be Jarris Walker, would be Jared McCain, and would be Karl-Anthony Towns. We talked about how to pivot off of Towns, so if you don't want to play that, I think in particular then the value plays would be the Jarris Walker part and the Jared McCain part. Those are the guys I've projected much higher than industry does, and that tends to be a sign for at least me that those guys are must plays. So there you go, guys. That's it for the slate. Make sure to hit that subscribe button before you go. Hit the like button. Of course, check out all of our sponsors as well. I'll click everything. Stokastic, 15% off. Link in the description or use the promo code SPLASH. Underdog, $1,000 of bonus cash. Use the promo code SPLASH on there. Unabated, $30 off their monthly packages using the promo code SPLASH at unabated.com. And the Solver, which I do use for NBA but don't show on stream here. It is a good product as well for NBA, even though it doesn't have Sims like it does for NFL. Gamble responsibly, even though it's always money time. Follow me at Chris Spags. Follow the show at Splash Play Pod. And I'll be back in 8 minutes on Stokastic. See you then. Back tomorrow here at 4 p.m. And, of course, on the Splash Play NFL channel tomorrow at 11 a.m. as well. I'll see you guys in one of those spots. And if not, good luck, guys. Enjoy your days and see you soon. Bye-bye.